Scene 14 in my version of King Lear is Act 3, Scene 7 if you've got the folio version. So this is the last scene in Act 3. And it's where that Wheel of Fortune really is sort of turning and leaving Gloucester now at an equally low point as Lear. This is where he gets blinded. Regan and Goneril have this bit of a double act in this scene, which echoes that idea. They're almost like sort of ugly sisters, aren't they, in Cinderella? These sort of two women who are equally evil and goading each other on. They sort of have half a line each in the first couple of lines. Regan says hang him instantly, Goneril follows with pluck out his eyes, so it's almost like they're competing to do the worst thing that they can. I think the plucking out the eyes is important. It's a symbol of castration. You know, to put it really bluntly, this is you know, a man having two sort of ball-shaped things pulled out of him, and it's a symbol of male, you know, impotence, isn't it? It's two women taking out his eyes and making him blind. So again, it adds that idea of these old patriarchs really being emasculated, I guess, by the, you know, by the women, by the daughters. So it's the old world, but it's also the men versus the women here. Cornwall says about line 6 that the revenges we're bound to take upon your traitorous father are not fit for your beholding. So basically says to him, get out of the way, you know, you don't want to see this. There's that irony because obviously Gloucester is about to be blinded. But I think that sets up a key point here, because just like Lear gets more wise when he gets mad, Gloucester sees better actually when he's blind. So we get Edmund keeping up this loyal son act. As soon as Gloucester's blinded, he's able, oddly, to see through it. It's the same with Lear, because Lear's got rid of the normal way of thinking of the world. He's actually free to see it more widely and see it outside of his own role. Same with Gloucester, he loses his sight, and so therefore he's not seeing the world in the way he always has. And that's something that is really important across this play. Again, that wheel is turning in that sense as well. Cornwall explains around about line 21-22 that they can't kill Gloucester. He says that though we may not pass upon his life without the form of justice, yet our power shall do a courtesy to our wrath, which men may blame but not control. In other words, they can't kill Gloucester without a trial, but they can blind him. So there's that sense that this blinding is really sort of setting up the death that comes later. And Regan, bet line 29, calls him, she says, hard, oh filthy traitor. In other words, you know, he's been traitorous really to Goneril and Regan. Gloucester replies with, unmerciful lady as you are, I am true. And again, it's that truth. It's the same with Kent, isn't it? It's that quite literally blind loyalty here that comes in versus the unmerciful nature of the women. And there's two halves of the line there, on that unmerciful lady and I am true. But I don't think Shakespeare suggests that either of those things is ideal. The women and the daughters are Machiavellian and unmerciful, but equally Gloucester is true in the sense of just true to himself and sticking to what he's always thought of, and that needs to change too. Regan plucks at Gloucester's beard. It's a great stage direction to look at just after that. So it's that image of humiliation, humiliating the old patriarchs, you know, literally pulling at something that sets him up as older but also as male. That's what she's attacking here. Regan says about line 33-34, so white and such traitor, so making the point that it's really ironic that his beard is dead white, but actually his heart is black, you know, because he's a traitor. But it also, just like with Lear's white hair shows innocence and also age side by side, and there's that mingling again with this image of age and also youth. You know, it's this idea of being reborn. I think that image of rebirth comes as Gloucester's brought down and blinded, Lear's brought down and made mad, and Edgar's brought down and becomes put on. Of course, Edgar's the only one who's allowed to survive at the end of the play and start a new world, because he's somebody who is able to adapt to the new world in a way that Lear and Gloucester can't really. Great line that Gloucester says about line 53-54. He says, I would not see thy cruel nails pluck out his poor old eyes, nor thy fierce sister in his anointed flesh, rash boorish fangs. Basically, he won't allow Lear, you know, to be treated in this way. So again, we see this loyalty. We see the animal imagery associated with Goneril and Regan, the cruel nails, the boorish fangs. You know, they're very animalistic. They're seen as almost subhuman. The great bit is his anointed flesh. So there's a belief in Jacobean times that the king was God on earth. So this would really resonate with the Jacobean audience, that the king is God on earth. To attack the king is to attack God. It's an act of blasphemy. So Lear's flesh, we're established, is anointed. It's holy. And yet at the same time his flesh is weak, it's old, you know, his body literally is old, and that's part of the problem here. And that's that paradox that Shakespeare sets up. Lear can't be attacked. Lear's flesh is perfect because it's godly, but it's also really flawed because he's old and he's set in his ways. And that's the paradox that Shakespeare gives us. The old world needs to change and needs to be brought down, but you can't do that without committing treason and indeed blasphemy by going against God. And the only answer that we seem to get is through this weird compromise that the fool speaks, where he speaks the truth, but he's also loyal to Lear. That Cordelia says, where she rebels against her father, but she's also loyal. That Edgar does, in the sense that he's in disguise, but he's also true. That seems to be the answer to this. The characters who are seen as ultimately good are the ones who are able to answer that problem, really, by straddling the best of the old and the new worlds. We get Cornwall say about line 64, 65, see thou shalt thou never, fellows hold the chair upon those eyes of thine, I'll set my foot. So a really violent image of Cornwall quite literally stepping down on the old order, you know, stamping quite literally his authority on the old order. And then something really interesting happens because the servants turn against him. And I think it's O'Toole talks about this weird, again, a bit of a paradox in the play where loyalty is good in one sense, but on the other hand, it's not. Oswald is really loyal and yet a terrible person. The servants here stop being loyal to Cornwall, but clearly morally that's the right thing to do. There's no easy answers here. We get told basically that the servants say, is about line 70, I've served you since I was a child, but better service have I never done you than now to bid you hold. The servants are basically saying, don't carry on with this is crazy. So again, we get that loyalty and yet also standing against him. You know, that's exactly what the fool does, isn't it? And then actually what happens is Regan, about line 76, 77, says a peasant stand up thus, so it makes it about class. She's making the same mistakes, by the way, as her dad. You know, Lear has had that very clear view that he started to question now when he's seen Porton. And then she takes the sword and runs it in behind. So we've had the image of castration. Now Regan's taking a very phallic image and actually just you know, taking control of it to stab the servant. So she's usurping the male roles. That seems to be really unnatural here, that these women are actually taking on these roles that are traditionally male. And yet the paradox there is that these men are flawed also because they're too patriarchal, so there's no obvious answer here. Gloucester then realises, granted a little bit too late, but pretty much as soon as he's blinded, about line 88, then Edgar was abused, kind gods forgive me that and prosper him. So just like as Lear goes mad, he sees the truth, Gloucester, pretty much as soon as he's blinded, he realises what's going on with his son. So that's Shakespeare's point again. Through Gloucester's blindness, he sees the truth. Through Lear's madness, he sees the truth too. And then the servants say here about line 99 about Goneril and Regan, particularly Regan, if she lives long and in the end meet the old course of death, women will all turn monsters. Basically, if Regan's allowed to die of old age, women will all have gone monstrous by this stage. Something is really unnatural in the world. And the servants end it. Let's follow the old earl, get the bedlam to lead him where he would. His roguish madness allows itself to anything. Go there, will fetch some flax and whites of eggs to apply to his bleeding face. Now heaven help him. The servants are literally a healing presence. They're literally putting it right. Interestingly, you look at what they put on Gloucester's eyes. Eggs. The fool talks about eggs as well. These hollow, you know, these hollow shells in relation to Lear's hollow crown now. Now the servants are referring to eggs and using them as a healing presence. Yet again, it's an image of rebirth. At Gloucester and Lear's lowest ebb, we actually, ironically, get images of rebirth. They are brought down. But there's ironically something quite positive about that because it allows the new order to be established, but not established through treachery and Machiavellian ways, through actually reinventing itself in the way that Edgar does when he becomes Porton. So that's the end of Act 3.